Cheers. Alright, you bastards, this is Some-Belgian-prepper, and today we're going to talk about survival uses of Vaseline that you probably did not know yet. So, but before we start, if you're interested, I wrote a detective story. It's a 11 part of a first of an 11-part series. If you're interested, it's called Bloody Crosses, and it's down in the link in the description. So, yeah, survival uses for Vaseline. So, what are they? Well, Vaseline is some basic product that has a lot of uses if you know how to use it. Well, I will go off a list of things that you can do, and actually also show you one example of it in by the magic of editing. So let's start. So Vaseline can be used for as when some products are not available for the task at hand. But Vaseline is one of those things that you can use all around. So imagine you have to attach a hose to or a pipe into a pipette or something. That can be very difficult. So put some Vaseline on it, and it will glide in much faster, much better. So another thing is blistering and shaving. You know, when you're walking long distances, there could be a problem of having blisters, and that's because your feet are rubbing against the edge of the shoe, and that will cause blisters. There are two ways to solve this. First, I would advise to wear nylon socks or panties together with beneath a woolen sock, so that the friction will be less, which is a golden tip and works. Or another thing is put some Vaseline on the places where the blisters could occur, and that way the Vaseline will help you not will help reduce the friction, and that way you can prevent blisters. Another thing, like I said, shaving. We all know when we did long walks or hiking, and there is sometimes a problem that between your legs it's a little bit friction. It could be of several reasons. Perhaps you're sweating too much, and that could start to irritate some. Sometimes you do not have the right pants, and sometimes you have just a little case of thunder thighs, like I heard some people call it. So what you can do is put some Vaseline between your legs and the parts that it will reduce the friction between those. So that could be a lifesaver when you're doing very long walks or hikes, especially during summer days, which is could be very painful. Another thing is shaving cream. Yeah, it's not really optimal as shaving cream, but if there is nothing else at hand, you could put a layer onto as to protect the skin while you're shaving it. Another thing is a lubricant. It could be a lubricant for the hinges of doors so they will not squeak anymore. They could also be used for when your zip is stuck. That will help lubricate it. And in emergency cases for the moving parts of firearms, it could be also be a good replacement in case you do not have the right oil or a gun oil for it. So that could be a good alternative. Next thing is a rust protection. Yeah, if you got some tools like a knife, hammers, or whatever tool that you have made out of metal, put a small layer of Vaseline on top of it, over a layer on it, and it will prevent that moist will get onto the metal surface and will start to rust. Next thing is a wound protection. If you have a small cut on somewhere on your body and you do not have a bandage or a little bit of tape to put over it, you can just smear a little bit Vaseline over it as a protective layer so nothing can get into the wound and start to infect it. This could be very handy during long hikes in the woods, and especially in areas where it's where even the smallest wound can start to infect, like in tropical areas or during the summer in swamp areas. So that could be very dangerous, even the smallest cut. Next thing is painting. Yeah, Vaseline can be used for painting projects. If you want to paint something, but you want to a certain part not painted, just smear some Vaseline on top of it. You paint, and then you wipe the when it's dried, you wipe the Vaseline away, and that way you will have a paint-free zone on a place you did not want paint. Battery corrosion, yeah, that's just the same thing as a rust prevention, but on top of the batteries of your car, for example, you can do a layer of Vaseline. So especially during winter time, this could be a little bit handy when you leave your car in a place where a lot of dew or mist is going to happen, or you live close by a water source and you park your car over there. In a long time, it could start to rust those essential parts of the battery. So yeah, use it to prevent those battery problems. Wood protection. If you have anything of wood, uh, what you do is you put a little bit of Vaseline on it, and then you start to rub it with a piece of cloth, and yeah, and that way you can have a little protective layer against moist. This could be perhaps handy for wood that would be exposed to moisture. We are talking about wood in the garden, like a furniture in a garden, or the woodwork of a firearm during long hunting trips or something. You can use Vaseline for that, and also for lubricating the firearm parts, like I said before. Next thing is protecting fruit trees, and as a sort of insect trap. What you can do is, if you have certain how do you say this, plants or flowers or whatever fruit trees that you want to protect from something like what's the English word for wood lice? uh, Asphies, yeah, those little bastards that crawl into your tree and will eat the leaves. Well, if you put around the stem of the tree a layer of Vaseline, the Asphies that want to climb up the tree will be stuck into the Vaseline and will not reach those leaves that you want to protect at all cost. The same thing goes for if you have a little piece of paper or a place where insects crawl a lot and you do not want it, a layer of Vaseline, and the insects will get stuck in them or will not get near it. So that's another use of Vaseline as a sort of improvised insect fly trap, especially if you put it on some paper-like material and you lay it somewhere, and flies come onto it and will stuck to it. So yeah, that's a sort of thing that you also can do. Next thing is as a remover of stains or makeup or polish or something that you just want to remove. The petroleum in the Vaseline has an effect that it will start to not really dissolve, but it weakens the materials, so you can and get stains out. What you can do is, if you have a stain on your clothing or something, put some Vaseline on it, let it work a little bit in, blot it, and then keep doing the same process till the stain is removed. The same thing can go for something like makeup or something. So yeah, it's not really the best thing, but in a case of an emergency or survival, that could be used for that as an alternative. Next thing is a emergency candle and a fire starter. Yeah, what you can do for an emergency candle is just you take some materials like a cotton ball and you mix it, dip it into petroleum, and that will, when you start to light it, that will act like a candle because the Vaseline has petroleum jelly in it, and it will start to slowly burn, and it will act like an emergency candle. The same thing goes with the same cotton ball drenched in or rolled in Vaseline, can be used to as a sort of fire starter. It just yeah, I will show you now in a clip. By the magic of editing, you will see me starting a fire with a cotton ball in Vaseline. So here we go. As you perhaps can see, now the cotton ball with the Vaseline is giving a rather slow but steady flame. Although I must admit, what I prefer to do to get it starting faster is mix the cotton ball with the Vaseline with a little bit of steel wool, so that I can easier ignite it with just the steel, with just the steel sparker. So yeah, like you can see, it's a rather good burn. And as you can see, even hard wind can not easily put it out because of the petroleum in the Vaseline. So as you can see, even hard blowing with like I did. So if you're in an emergency situation, I would advise to get 1 or 2 of these balls into your bug out bag for in making fire like this in difficult circumstances. As you can see, it still has a rather big burn, and now it's finally out. So, but yeah, as you saw, it was a really good burn and gave a lot of heat, so I could make some to start a fire with some kindle. So yeah, that's another thing you can do with Vaseline. All right, so we're back now. Where were we? Oh yeah, we did a fire starter. Now could be a little bit controversial, but you can also use it as a diaper cream in case you have an infant. And yeah, infants need diapers, and yeah, if you do not have baby powder, you can use as an alternative Vaseline. Be sure that the baby will not react bad to it. Test it out first in a small pinch of portion and see how the skin react before you do that. So that's just for the safety, but it's something that you can use as an alternative in case of emergency. And another thing is moisturizer. If you if you often have a problem with dried hands or dry feet, especially during long walks, or perhaps something that you did, you can use also a little layer of Vaseline, rub it, and that will help to moisturize the skin. It will perhaps not smell all the best, and you will not have to pick up fire, I hope. So yeah, that's something that you can also do. And the same thing goes for the lips. You know, lip balsam. People who have often have a problem with dry out lips. Yeah, you can use a little bit of Vaseline to help it. How do you say this? Moisturize. And I think I pretty much named everything. So yeah, if you have know any other uses for Vaseline, let me know it in the comments. I'm always eager to learn. What I'm wondering is, could I have not tested it out yet, but could you use Vaseline as a deterrent for mosquitoes or midgets during a long hikes? I have not tried it out, so if anyone have experience with this, please let me know what you think of it. Subscribe, like, all that good stuff, and yeah. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video. Cheers!